Fahrenheit 451 is a science fiction novel written by Ray Bradbury. The novel is set sometime in the 24th century and follows the main character Montague and his point of view. A key argument of the book Fahrenheit 451 is the evils of censorship and the tension in future societies between knowledge and ignorance. It was a pleasure to burn. The famous opening line of the book not only echoes throughout the novel in interesting ways, but grabs the reader's attention while showing where society stands on the idea of books being banned. In the novel, the fireman's job was now to set fires rather than put them out, because owning and reading books was illegal, and people generally only focused on entertainment and speeding through life. In this society, people would basically disconnect by listening to an earpiece radio called a seashell or watching TV on wall-sized TV sets. Because of these new inventions, this led to people who didn't read books anymore, enjoy nature, think independently, or have meaningful conversations anymore. And people with interests other than technology or entertainment were seen as strange and were looked into by the authorities. Why do people drive so fast, keep seashell ear thimbles in their ears, and spend all day in front of room-sized TVs? According to Beatty, the constant motion and stimulation is designed to help people suppress their sadness and avoid any kind of intense emotion or difficult thoughts and experiences. In the book, we see how Montague's wife uses her TV sets to escape from her real-life depression. Throughout the book, Montague had struggled with if he's truly happy and if ignorance is bliss, or if knowledge would lead him to true happiness. He eventually gives in to his curiosity and decides that he would be happier acquiring knowledge, even though his profession is to destroy knowledge, thus promoting ignorance. In the book, there is no clear reason as to why censorship has become so important in the society, but there are several suggested reasons as to why it had, including the shift of focus to turning to driving fast, radios, and giant TVs with TV families that include you in the show. Because of these things, there was no need for literature. In the book, it was said that at first people slowly lost interest in reading books, then only they remembered the titles, and soon after, people forgot about books altogether. People had also been almost trained to act hostilely towards books. People didn't like to feel inferior to those who had read more books than them, so eventually it was said that books became obsolete because minority groups were offended by books about almost anything. It was even mentioned that dog lovers would be offended by books about cats and vice versa. Not only that, but in order to appease everyone, authors would try to write books that didn't say anything offensive, so soon all books began to look the same. People in the novel are afraid of themselves. They fear the thought of knowing, which eventually leads them to depend on the government to think for them. Since they aren't reading, they fill their time with media, which leads to several problems such as a rise in violence, depression, and even attempts of suicide. Now, Bradbury isn't suggesting that media other than books couldn't be enriching or fulfilling. As Faber, the old man that Montague had met in the park many years ago, says, quote, "It isn't the books you need, it's some of the things that once were in books. The same infinite detail and awareness could be projected through radios and televisions, but are not." However, the book also portrays what could happen if society were to allow the government to take complete control of what people can and cannot read, write, watch, and converse about. In the novel, media is used as a tool of censorship. The programs broadcasted on TV and radio never evoked the viewers to think. The viewers simply sat there and read the script only when they were cued to. This showed that the government did not want to give viewers the opportunity to think for themselves or spark any creativity in them. This leads to the thought that everyone in the society will fulfill the government, doing whatever they say and believe anything they tell the citizens. Not only that, but the government had installed a belief in the people that the government is always right and that they will not let anyone get away from nonconformity. By making widespread censorship a phenomenon that emerges from culture itself and not one that is simply opposed above the government, Bradbury is expressing a concern that the power of the mass media can ultimately suppress free speech. There are, however, people who are willing to risk their lives in order to help books survive. They were intellectuals that were cast out by society and lived in the woods along the train tracks. In the book, it says, quote, "There are a lot of old Harvard degrees on the tracks between here and Los Angeles. Most of them are wanted and hunted in the cities. Eventually, after being taught to challenge what he's been told his whole life and question things around him, Montague decides to wage his own personal war against ignorance. By the end of the book, he and other book lovers who had memorized popular and famous books look to rebuild society and pass on their knowledge to the next generation.